PurGen 1 is a coal energy and fertilizer plant proposed to be built in Linden, New Jersey. Unlike other coal plants in the United States, this plant would use an experimental process called carbon capture and sequestration, where it would capture most of the carbon dioxide emitted and sequester or bury the pressurized CO2 into a sandstone formation under the ocean floor. During its projected lifespan, PurGen would bury 1 trillion pounds of carbon dioxide.
We don't really have a good understanding of how the CO2 is going to react with other minerals and how it's, again, going to behave once it's in the storage area and how fast is it going to move. We need better modeling. The PurGen project is based on one company's model. What if they're wrong?
This pressurized substance would be pumped into a pipeline that would skirt around the Jersey shore, covering 140 miles and ending 70 miles off the coast of Atlantic City.
Okay, so in state waters, they're going to bury the pipeline. And it has to be at least 3 feet down, according to state regulations. But will it stay buried? We know the area off Sandy Hook is a very physically dynamic area. Is PurGen going to come out and make sure that it stays buried? There's also a number of other gas lines and cables in this area, which are going to make putting the pipeline in difficult. If there's rock outcrops, they're going to have to blast them, making all sorts of noise.
If the pipeline lays exposed on the ocean floor, it would be subject to risks from anchoring ships and fishing activity. Even small leaks of CO2 would cause ocean acidification, which depletes seawater from the compounds organisms need to build shells and skeletons, impairing the abilities of corals, crabs, sea stars, sea urchins, plankton, and other marine creatures to build the protective armor they need to survive. Many of these creatures are at the bottom of the food chain, and so their health affects the health of all marine life. The construction of this plant would create jobs, but most would be temporary. We need to consider the jobs that would be threatened if there were an accident at this plant or with the pipeline. Tourism in New Jersey is the third largest employer in a $38 billion industry. Recreational fishing in New Jersey is a $1.3 billion industry, and commercial fishing in the Mid-Atlantic is a $1.9 billion industry.
Well, pretty much the fishing community as a whole is against this coal plant because our livelihoods are at stake, and if something goes wrong, then we won't have jobs anymore. And we're losing more jobs if something goes wrong than the jobs that are being produced by building this plant.
The proposed route for the pipeline cuts through the heart of the Hudson-Raritan estuary, as well as the ocean, both of which are essential fish habitats.
So the PurGen project, the New York, New Jersey Baykeeper is opposing it because of its significant impacts to the water quality and the habitat that we have in the Raritan Bay and the Arthur Kill and all the way out into the ocean. The idea that a large pipeline is just going to go right through this really vital estuary where people recreate, they fish, they're really using it is just not a compatible use. And so, Baykeeper as the guardian of the estuary, the Hudson-Raritan estuary, is concerned about that.
We have the risk of leakage. There's many unknowns about how the CO2 is going to behave. We can't monitor even small leaks. And the big leaks we can monitor are going to require air gun surveys, which have, extensive noise impacts on marine life. And then there's also harmful impacts of the fertilizer production.
Every major environmental group in the state of New Jersey opposes PurGen 1. The coalition to stop PurGen is growing as more groups and individuals join to help stop PurGen coal plant. Learn more about how you can get involved by visiting our website, joining our Facebook group, and watching the other videos in this series.